Welcome to another edition of Tampa Bay Insiders. Today, we're very fortunate to have with us our new president of Hillsborough Community College, Ken Atwater. How long you been here, Ken?
You know, less than a year. I started July 1st.
Well, gosh, I didn't realize a whole year had gone. Well, welcome, and I'm so glad that you could make it here today. We've had quite a challenge trying to get you
well, thank you.
Over the channels. You're not from here, are you?
No. I moved here from Phoenix, but I'm originally from Tennessee.
Okay.
So coming back on the east side of the Mississippi was something that was very appealing coming to Florida, and by all means, Florida is always attractive to come back. But no, I spent about 10 years out in Phoenix as the president of a college there in the Maricopa Community College system there.
So did you grow up in Tennessee?
Yes, I did. Yes,
and
I did.
Went to public school there? Or?
Went to public school in Tennessee, went to college in Kentucky. I'm an avid basketball, football, and baseball fan.
Okay.
You have to be if you lived in my neighborhood.
Okay.
And then did graduate school at Southern Illinois in Carbondale.
So what were you thinking when you went to college? What were you going to be? What were you going to be when you grew up?
You know, I always tell people I would have been a great community college student, and I went to a school called Murray State because truly when I went to school, I was almost undecided. And really, I had a direction, but truly I was undecided. By all means, I went to study medicine. I went in as a pre-med major.
Wow.
When I left. And by all means, that was not the career fit for me. And thank goodness that I had a chance to run into a real great faculty member and two great mentors who helped me set my career direction.
Well, your bachelor's degree is in what?
Speech and communications.
Speech and communications. So,
and
how'd you end up going in the direction you went to? Well, where'd you go to? Well, okay, after you graduated with speech.
Right.
Then you went on and got a master's in
guidance and counseling, and truly I did that with an emphasis of serving in the community college. Let me give you just a little background about Ken. Let me, if you don't mind, let me tell you about
Please.
who I am and where I'm from. And
that's what this show's about.
Okay.
That's what we want to know.
I grew up in Tennessee and grew up in a family of 3 boys, no sisters. Neither one of my parents were college graduates. My mom had attended college but did not graduate. But I want you to know that higher education was always on all of her sons' agenda. I mean, it was not an expectation, it was an order that you're going to do this. And the reason why was simply because they saw early on that it was a pathway for people to improve their lives. And I'm just fortunate that I had that support and guidance at home, even though they were not college graduates themselves. Went to the public schools in Tennessee, played sports, wasn't any good. My buddy was real good, though. I want you to know that. And he made a professional career out of playing sports. So.
It's somebody we all know, huh?
Yes, it is.
Who's that?
Ed Too Tall Jones.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah,
all
he
right.
played with Dallas for years. In fact, he was here for my inauguration. He came down to celebrate my inauguration in March and so forth. But grew up in a very tight, close-knit family. And left and went to school in Kentucky, graduated from there with speech and theater. My junior year, I had 2 friends of mine that were in grad school, and a graduate professor, was talking about where do you want to go? Because I was making about a 2.5, a 2.6, and I knew that would not get me in med school. And truly came to me and talked about, have you ever thought about working in the community college? And this was in the 70s, and understandably, the community college was going through what I call being born. There was a lot of what I call new beginnings for community colleges in the 60s, and they were really, really being born. So coming in at the ground floor to see the development of an institution that was all about changing lives and changing the lives of everyday people. And truly, it caught my eye. So left there.
So then you went back to school and got this degree in guidance.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny because I got my first job in community college out of one of my graduate courses in Murray State when I was graduating, and I was taking the community college leadership program. And the dean of students from a community college in my hometown called Jackson, Tennessee, was there doing a presentation on the role of student services in the community colleges. And so, man, I know your family, heard of your family. I'm going to have a job opening as a counselor in my department coming up. I want you to see if you're interested. And lo and behold,
And you were a junior at the time?
No, I was in grad school.
Oh, you were in grad school.
I was in grad school. But lo and behold, graduated, applied, got the job, and has been in the field ever since.
So you've been in this field for how many years?
Don't ask me my age, Louise.
I didn't, but I could.
Don't ask me my age.
I'm good at math, though, and I could figure it out once
Well,
you tell me.
let me just tell you, I've been in
20,
the field
30 years?
over 20 years.
Over 20, okay.
Over 20 years.
So they always tell you when you're interviewing, go over the number, so
Yes.
they'll give you the real number.
Okay.
Okay, so if I said, oh my gosh, you're 80 already, you would have told me how old you were, for sure. So, okay, so now you've come down to what's grown into an enormous presence in our community,
Sure.
HCC. In fact, why don't you tell everybody about HCC and
Sure.
how big it has gotten? I mean, if they haven't driven by, well, it's almost impossible to find your way into someplace in HCC, in Ybor, for example, because, my God, there's another building and then another one and another one, and then you almost don't know. There's so much of it, but
Well,
it's
we're
grown
serving-
enormously.
Yes, it is. We serve on an annual basis over 48,000 students, and we have 5 campuses located throughout the county. Most people are familiar with the Del Mabry campus, which is over by the stadium. Most people are also familiar with the Ybor campus, too, which is located right in the heart of Ybor. But we have a substantial campus out in Brandon. We have a campus in Plant City, and we have our newest campus is our South Shore campus, which is down in Ruston. We also have 3 major training centers, too, that we're doing. One, we have a center out at McDill. We have almost 2,000 students we're serving out at McDill.
What are you teaching out there?
You know, we do a lot of a lot of basic education, career courses that people are looking for a lot of the military spouses, believe it or not,
good.
that are there. So, but it is truly a transfer and a workforce training program. We do limited workforce training programs out there. And we have an extensive workforce training program over on our Columbus Avenue Center. It's amazing, someone asked me about the impact of HCC, and I was telling someone we recently finished an economic impact study, and we employ nearly 2,500 people at HCC, which makes us about the 16th largest employer, and we operate on a budget about $15 million a year. Every dollar that a student invests in HCC, they see a $5.10 return on their investment. And every dollar that the state puts into us, they see a $3.10 return. So we think we're a good investment.
You're teaching first responders, I noticed.
Sure, yes we are.
What classes are you having, or are these degree-oriented?
Yes, they are. Talk to any law enforcement officer. Talk to any fireman. Talk to any EMT person. Go to your local dentist and talk to the hygienists and the dental assistants. Go to the hospitals and talk to the nurses. Talk to the nurses' assistants. Talk to the people who are doing the radiology there. There's a high probability that they've done their training at HCC. We train more first responders in Hillsborough County than any other entity here. I would ask you to do like my first experience coming to Tampa. You know, someone always asks me how do I like it. I always say, you know, it's better than I ever expected. And truly, growing up in Tennessee, I'd come to Florida on several times. You know, I don't know anybody who went to college east of the Mississippi and didn't come to Florida for vacation sometime during their college career. My stops were always on the east side, at Orlando, Daytona, Fort Lauderdale, or Miami. And coming to the west side is a whole different environment from what I see. It's a sense of community, is what I call it. And it reminds me a lot of a Midwestern city, but the community aspect of it is something that I really, really enjoy. You know, someone asked me, how do I what do I mean when I say about a small town or community? It's amazing that I can walk down the streets and I can walk by a complete stranger and I say hello and they speak back. I mean, that's something that truly represents what I call a community and caring about community. And I've seen that since I've been here.
I want to hear more about that. We'll be back in just a second.
And this is Billy when he was a baby.
He's so cute.
And this was his first school play. And this is Billy's graduation from grammar school. Wait till you see the videos I have. I have so many tapes. Let me find them.
No, I can't wait.
Wait till you see the potty training we did.
Mom, our VCR doesn't work anymore. We can't watch those tapes.
Kathy, now you can watch Billy's potty training video.
What do you mean?
I had all the tapes transferred to DVD at Tampa Bay Community Network. I didn't have to mail the tapes away, and I got them transferred very quickly.
We're back talking to Dr. Ken Atwater from HCC, the president of HCC, the head man, operating a student body of 48,000.
Sure.
How many? 5 campuses
5
around the
campuses.
community. Okay, we were just talking about the fact that your instruction covers a lot of first responders, medical people, law enforcement, fire,
Hospitality, hotel, cooks, restaurants, things like that. We have a...
Those aren't all first responders,
I know.
unless you're getting up in a hotel in the morning. But I did want to ask you then, what are some of the other programs that you have over there? I definitely know there's a communications program
Yes, you do.
going on.
Yeah. Well, mainly, let me just tell you, 60% of our students come to us. They come with the idea of transferring to a four-year institution, and primarily they transfer to USF. About 95% of our students transfer to USF.
They do?
Yes, they do. We are the largest community college feeder to USF in the state of Florida here. So we have a great, great relationship with USF, and truly that is a place where our students go. Our students stay in our community. Unlike some community colleges or universities especially, people who graduate from us have a tendency to stay here.
I should have said my son's there.
Yes, yes,
Because
I'll
they're
agree.
out of town.
Yes,
The son of a guns are all
That's
out of
right. Tell them stay here.
Yeah, I wish.
In this time of economic depression that we're going through, I mean, no greater place than HCC to help what I call solve the economic depression that we're going through. And we're making a concentrated effort to do so. I mean, we're always looking for new programs, retraining. There's a lot of retraining going on.
Are most of your students traditional age students in college?
The average age of our students is almost 26.
Okay.
And,
So you have a big bunch that are over what? Are they
over 30,
seniors?
over 30, 35.
Okay.
In fact, we had graduation the first week of this month, and we had a graduate that was 74.
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
So are you finding a lot of people going back to school during this poor economic time? Because
Sure,
that's
sure.
been advised in
Sure.
many a column, many a
Yes, it
news
is.
story. Good time now to go, what, with
Yes, it
their
is.
support and financial aid and so
Yes,
forth?
it is. I mean, by all means, in this society now, and especially this economy, there's a lot of need for retraining. And guess where the place for retraining is going to occur? And I'll tell you that because if you look at Florida, let me just give you a little idea about Florida as a whole. There are 28 two-year state colleges, two-year colleges in the state of Florida. The enrollment in those 28 colleges is over 800,000 students.
Total.
And those, almost 1 million students. The enrollment in the universities, the state universities as a total, is around 250 or 275,000. So as a whole, if Floridians are looking for higher education, primarily they're going to look for the two-year colleges first as their outlet for doing so. And that's the same thing here because we're the first choice for higher education for graduates out of Hillsborough County school system, for example. So if a person is pursuing higher education who lives here in Hillsborough County, there's a highly likelihood that they're coming to HCC.
Are you seeing, well, with layoffs and unemployment that's occurred in some companies that have gone out of business during these times, have you seen a tendency to go into a specific field? I mean,
Sure.
we've heard the word computer for years, but
Sure.
is that the one, or,
Yeah, I mean,
is it spread out?
It's spread out. I mean, people are coming back for retraining to get jobs. And in this information technology age, the jobs are changing. People are coming back for technical skills, for technology training. I mean, that is always a popular skill. People are coming back to what I call upgrade their skill sets, whether those skill sets is in finance or whether those skill sets in automotive or whether those skill sets, like I say, might be, I'm looking for a new skill, maybe in law enforcement or criminal justice or things along those lines. I mean, people are actually coming back because they can see that as a pathway for getting a job. I mean,
Well,
people
yeah,
get
the
jobs.
problem is if you stayed with a particular company for 10 years or
Right.
something and didn't get retrained in anything, but learned everything about the company and moved your way on up, and then the company goes out of business.
Right, and sometimes those
Whereas
skills are
that
not,
doesn't transfer.
yeah,
maybe.
those skills are not transferable sometimes because they're real specifics. But you probably have what we call some basic skills features that are essential for the jobs that are coming in the 21st century. I have to tell you this interesting story because just talking about job is that being a new person in Florida, when I got here, one of the things that I was always interested in going in was looking at the RV business because I always picture there. I see RVs all over Florida, right? I went out to Lazy Days.
Mr. Don Wallace's place.
Yes, they're huge. I mean, they have over 126 repair bins or something. So that's the reason I'm optimistic, because when I was there, those repair bins were busy. So that tells me that, and literally they talked about their business coming back. They took a tremendous hit in the downside when the economy was there. But interestingly, thinking about the new jobs for the 21st century, was that he was talking about the opportunity of finding technicians, that they want to possibly employ 15 to 20 new technicians a year through attrition and things that they have coming along. And they were talking about the challenges they're having finding people with the right skill sets to actually do those technician jobs.
Because you can't just be a mechanic anymore
right,
to
right.
work on,
Well,
an automobile or any
exactly right.
motor vehicle,
That's
right?
the first thing I said is that, what do you mean? And what he's talking about is that the competitive edge that Lazy Day has is that they don't want a mechanic who can just go in and just do the mechanical things, but they want someone who can not only do the mechanical things, but talk about product improvement. And if you're going to talk about product improvement, you got to have critical thinking skills, you got to have writing skills, you got to be able to communicate. So they want people, that is their edge. They say, you come bring your vehicle to us. Not only will we repair your vehicle, but we'll even give you ideas on how you can improve the use of your vehicle. That can only occur as where that work is being done right hands-on. And they want people to have that ability to communicate that, share it with the company so they can make those changes and maintain their competitive edge in doing so.
And in talking about competitive edge, Ken, isn't it so that HCC has actually done a lot of different things than other community colleges in terms of partnering?
Oh, yes, yes.
And can you tell me about some of those partnerships?
Sure, be glad to tell you something of the partnership. Let me first talk about the partnership with USF and also with the University of Tampa. One of the things that I've tried to do since I've been here is talk about that we're in this market together and we're not competing with each other. And our goal, as I've said earlier, is to design the higher education landscape for the Tampa Bay area. And that partnership is between USF, University of Tampa, HCC, and some private entities that we need to talk about doing here, simply because that if we're going to maintain our competitive edge again, everyone should know that higher education is a requirement for anyone that's coming out and looking for the job market. 70% of the new jobs that's going to be created in this country will require some type of higher education to do so. If an RV company is asking for repair people to have higher education skills, you can imagine how far it goes down the job market to determine what those skill sets are going to be necessary in the 21st century. So that
But
is
you've
a great
also
partner.
made partnerships with hospitals
Sure,
and so
sure.
forth, have
I'm
you
just-
not?
I'm going
Medical,
to,
you're getting there?
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
getting
go
there.
ahead.
I'm just a little slow.
All right, no,
I'm
go
getting
ahead.
there. By all means, from everything from the healthcare industry, from the finance industry, to the, like I say, to the school systems, to the hotels, to the restaurants that we do. We're always looking for partnership opportunities. And two reasons why. One, it expands our learning opportunity for our students. But more importantly, in these tight times of resources, we have to share. I mean, we really have to share. We have to be very conscious about our resources, because resources are scarce. And as you can imagine, there's more demands for us and less resources is coming to us. So we have to have partners. Automobile dealerships, car dealerships, things along that line. I mean, we're always looking for partners.
And
We
you've
even
made
have
some
a partner-
unusual ones.
Well, we have a partnership with you.
Yeah, you will,
Yes,
won't
we
you?
will.
Okay,
Yes, we
well,
will.
because I'm on your advisory,
Yes, true.
communications advisory.
That is true.
And we sure hope you'll send your students here
Yes.
for
Yes, we will.
hands-on training and so forth. And
We have the most interesting intern for our culinary arts students that appears, and I don't want to give this away, but the idea of partnership is the idea of saying that we talk to the local restaurants that are here, and we're trying to put our culinary arts interns, for example, in our local restaurant. Even at One Buck Place, we're trying to ask them to work there.
oh, that'd be interesting,
Yes, it
wouldn't
is.
it?
Yes, it
wow,
is.
that would be. Where do you see, I guess you probably see greater amount of partnerships coming down the line. Is that true?
Oh,
or
by all
what do you
means.
think?
Well,
Where are you going next?
In my inauguration...
RV business.
Yeah, RV business, right. In my inauguration, I talked about a vision for HCC, and that vision is very simple, is that we want to be the premier 21st century community college in the country. And what does that mean? That means that we're going to focus around three pillars that I've outlined. One, we want to basically be a community college known for innovation. We call it leading through innovation. 2, we want to be very collaborative in our efforts in doing so. And 3, we want to always talk about improving the learning environment. Our goal is to maintain a very supportive and engaging learning environment at the college. If we focus on those 3 pillars, we think we could be a premier 21st century college.
Is there going to be expansion?
You know, let me tell
I
you
mean,
where
you have a lot of locations
yes, we
now,
do.
and 48,000
Yes, we do.
students.
We have
right?
1.6 million square feet of facility within the college. We have a huge renovation need. The college is 42 years of age. And by all means, in 42 years, you can imagine that we have huge renovation needs. Will we do major expansion? Yes, we will. We've master planned all our sites. We will do some expansion. But our major expansion is basically in the near future, we're trying to expand our virtual learning environment. And that's an environment that's most popular and becoming most popular for our 21st century students.
True.
So the idea of brick and mortars, I mean, is really going to be diminishing for us. So we're going to really focus on doing renovation, some new brick and mortar, but at the same time, we're going to also expand our virtual learning experience for our students.
What a good point. We didn't need the space anymore to have props and sets because of the virtual sets that
That's
we
true.
now have.
That's
You're
right.
sitting here in, I don't know what it's going to look like in the end, but it'll look really pretty, but we're in a painted green
Room, right?
room, but
Yes.
it'll look gorgeous when
Yes, it
you
will.
see it on TV. And we have that ability too, and so we don't need to be buying all that furniture. So
Exactly
brick
right.
and mortar and furniture,
Right. I
a
mean,
lot of that.
one of the things that I think we've learned is that students want to be able to, you know, we're in a society where we want quick response, right? We want things immediately. I mean, we want to take out our smartphones and be able to find directions or find information right at our fingertips.
Absolutely.
And truly, that's what our students are demanding. They're demanding access 24/7, anytime and any place. And we're
So
trying
your
to position
professors
them.
are now going to have to, your teachers, your faculty are now going to have to be sending out their notices by text rather than...
Rather by text, by text, rather by email, or rather in paper. I mean, by all means, we think there's a mixture and a combination of that. You will find that a lot of students will probably be coming to us. They'll be taking in-person classes and online classes, and they'll be taking...
Maybe they'll be on our channel.
Yeah, it might be on your channel.
You could put a
right.
lot of classes on
Sure.
our channels.
Yes,
We would
yes.
just totally
Thank you.
be
Thank you.
thrilled about that. That would be so nice to do.
Thank you.
How about you personally? You're going to probably get asked to be in the community on a lot of different
Sure. I'm doing
boards
one project now that I'm really excited about.
What are you doing?
We're doing a project called the Talent Dividend Project, and it's a project in partnership with the Tampa Bay Partnership.
Okay,
And,
downtown partnership.
Yeah, downtown partnership. Let me just tell you what it is. The CEOs of the cities did an economic impact study about how can cities actually recover from the economic impact. And one of those areas they talked about is improving the degree completion rates in your cities. That is the associate, baccalaureate, and master's degree.
High school, let's go back to that one too. That wouldn't be bad. Okay.
But the CEOs of the city is basically partnered with the Lumina Foundation, basically, to offer a $1 million prize to the city who's going to increase their graduation rate per capita greater. There are 57 cities across the country that's competing for this. They just announced it get the official announcement in Chicago last week. And I've been asked to work and head that effort for the Tampa Bay region. And this coincides so specifically with our completion agenda. And
Did you have to have a certain rate already to get involved in this?
No.
But you just have to show an improved
got to
rate.
show an improvement, the greatest improvement over 3 years. And we stand to
3-year
win.
term.
Yeah, we stand to win $1 million. There are 2 cities in Florida. The Tampa Bay region's in competition, and also Orlando is in competition in doing so. But there are 56 nationwide.
It's amazing.
Yes, it's a great project. I mean, it fits
So you're going to involve all the universities and your
all the
schools.
higher education entities, the public, the K through 12. I mean, this is a community-wide effort. We're talking about how we can make sure that higher education access is available for everybody here in Hillsborough and the Tampa Bay region.
And they see that if people in a particular town have that, they're going to, start their own businesses or
Well,
be more valuable to the bringing in more businesses from the Chamber of Commerce's standpoint?
In addition to that, educated workforce has a tendency to draw people to come to you. One of the biggest challenges while we have people, the companies that are relocating to the area, is talking about what kind of workforce can I have? And an educated workforce is a plus.
Right.
Yeah, it is a
Now,
plus.
years ago, when I was on the board of the Chamber of Commerce, it wasn't about the educated, it was about bring jobs here any kind, we'll take call centers.
Sure.
So that is a wonderful advancement in that.
Sure.
Because years ago, it was, we just want jobs for people with less education. And now, trying to build jobs for people that are more educated means we're going to have better economic impact.
And more importantly, it's going to also increase our global competitiveness. You know that the President said that one of the things we have to do as a country as a whole to be back globally competitive, get our back competitive edge, is basically, he's calling for 20 million more Americans to have higher education degrees by the year 2020.
It was astounding to me to hear the other day that, 20 years ago we were the top.
Right.
And now we're in 15th place as
14.
far as our education.
14.
The education of our
Right.
per
Population.
capita.
That's right.
That's really awful.
14.
We've just got about a minute to go. Is there something that I forgot to ask you that you want to make sure our viewers know about HCC or you?
Sure. Well, let me talk about HCC. I'm boring. I'm boring. You don't want to talk about me. It is a great college. I mean, like, I am real pleased that I had an opportunity and honored to come down to be a part of it. I've been in the community college over 20 years, and by far, HCC, you should feel proud of HCC, not only for its local reputation, but also for its national reputation. I'll give credit to Dr. Stevenson, my predecessor. Gwen did an outstanding job.
Tremendous.
And I just feel fortunate that I'm able to actually follow in her footsteps. I can never fill her shoes, but always, I think it's an honor that I've given an opportunity to do so. And remember, HCC is your community college.
Absolutely. Thanks much for being here and sharing yourself and your school with our viewers, and we hope you come back soon. Thank you again, and please tune in next time. We'll be doing more on the movers and shakers in town.
These things we count on every day started as ideas. Ideas from the minds of African Americans. Support minority education today so we don't miss out on the next big idea tomorrow. The United Negro College Fund. A mind is a terrible thing to waste.